watch this.
In a world where we are glued to our devices, the great outdoors is thought to be a tech-free space. Well, the city of Boise is looking to change that and connect those open spaces to the wide-open World Wide Web. Speaking of being connected, have you got a text or a phone call from a political candidate recently? Reaching potential voters has morphed over the years, but technology and public information has allowed more ways for campaigns to get a hold of you. Halloween may get the headlines, but there's another fall holiday that has been celebrated longer and is much more personal. One Nampa woman shares the story of her altar on this Day of the Dead. Do we really need to be spending more time on our phones? Like, have you ever thought about how often you're just looking at this thing, wasting time, just spending time with it? We did. Here are the results for the 208 team anyway. We wanted to know the amount of screen time, like how much we do look at our phones. And if you have an iPhone, it keeps track for you right there on your phone. And our producer Tyson, well, guess what? He takes the lead. It's 7 hours. You see him in the back there. 7 hours and 10 minutes a day is his average on his phone. Our other producer, Danny, comes a distant second at 4 hours and 39 minutes. And you can see Andrew, Joe, kind of rounding out the bottom four there. I didn't have my settings on to track my screen time, so I don't have that total for you, but that's not the point. It just shows we are on our phones a lot, and it's obviously a priority for a lot of us, no matter where we are. So much so, the city of Boise is now looking to offer free Wi-Fi in its most popular parks. But who's using their phone at the park? Isn't that the point of going to the park, is to kind of get away from, well, if not all of it, most of it? Right? Maybe not. Here's Andrew Bartline.
Not a cell phone in sight, just people living in the moment. But who said those two have to be at odds?
There's another gym over there?
I don't think Ann Morrison ever did. And for Leanna Wheeler and her husband Zach?
No, they're in the balloon.
The two go hand in hand.
I'm trying.
Thanks to an interactive game called Pokemon Go, where the park provides the perfect canvas.
It's a really concentrated area to play Pokemon. So we go to a lot of different parks around.
That's because she has to. To catch the Pokemon, the user has to physically walk around and find them. It's a process made difficult when the Pokemon can't find you.
We have spotty connection, like on a good day.
But the city of Boise could bridge that gap. They plan to implement free Wi-Fi access all through the city's 3 major parks. That includes Ann Morrison, Julia Davis, and Cecil Andrus Park.
Those parks in the downtown core are the most visible and also most highly utilized.
For formal events, they could be utilized hundreds of times a year, which put a strain on the city's IT department to set up temporary Wi-Fi infrastructure when needed.
Oh my gosh, that was so hard.
Adam Reno is the city's IT infrastructure manager. He says setting up Wi-Fi for big events, including the 4th of July, takes his team weeks.
And that's just for one event. And so repeat that for however many events that we had, and it just became a nightmare.
The estimated cost for installing free Wi-Fi infrastructure in the main city parks runs a $2.3 million price tag.
The cost is primarily driven based on how big the parks are.
No, it's not cheap.
Parks and Rec Director Doug Holloway says it was on discount. Federal dollars from the American Rescue Plan Act will cover $2 million, leaving the city with $300,000 to foot themselves.
Without that, we're probably still really talking about when can we connect our parks, and with that funding really push that over the top, and the mayor wanted to make connecting our parks a priority out of that ARPA funding that the city received.
Holloway says the Wi-Fi will be available for anyone who wishes to use it, providing the city the opportunity to create interactive resources.
We can use augmented reality to be able to create opportunities for our residents to come into a park and really learn more about the park without having a brochure in their hand. They literally can live the reality of what's going on in that park through that platform.
Oh my gosh, he has 2 giraffe eggs.
Or in Leanna's case,
Because I don't have very strong earth.
To have a better experience playing Pokemon Go.
And we'd probably get a lot more of the younger generation out in the parks again and get people more social and enjoying the beautiful parks that we have around here. Because they're gorgeous, especially in the fall. That's spit biased.
Holloway says the program is still considered a pilot. He doesn't expect Wi-Fi to be up and running at a park until fall of 2024, so we're still 2 years out on this. And the city sees this as kind of an investment, Brian, just another step toward the sort of mantra we continue to hear from the city about making a city for everyone.
Okay, I get that. And good to see that she takes time away from her phone to notice the fall colors of the park. But that being said, I didn't realize when they had these events like Art in the Park or like the Soul Food Festival or even the Balloon Fest, I didn't realize it took them weeks to make sure that there was Wi-Fi in the parks. That's a long time.
Hey, I'm no expert on it, but when I was speaking with him, it sounds like you can't just put up a router and say, go at it. I mean, there's a bunch of people there, hundreds, maybe thousands. It's a very difficult process, and he said it takes 2 weeks for the 4th of July and then 2 days after to take it down.
Wow, and I guess you got security concerns, which is something they'll probably have to consider going forward. Okay, but the question is, $2.3 million, a good investment in that regard? Well, about to find out. But as you said, it's not like cash, it's that CARES fund, or excuse me.
ARPA.
Yeah, that's what it's from. Okay, thank you very much, Andrew. Well, it is nearly here, Election Day, and so is the time for some of the final pushes for many people running for office to get their message out to voters. Those messages, they come in a variety of ways, all kinds of mediums, TV ads, mailers, phone calls, text messages, more stuff on our phone. Robocalls and errant text messages from various campaigns seem to tick up ahead of these elections. Leaves you probably irritated, maybe annoyed, but viewers have also reached out to us about asking us about them, like Emily, who emailed us saying, okay, so I got a new phone number, maybe 2 days ago. Only 4 or 5 people have this number, but somehow Senator Mike Crapo got my information and is sending me campaign spam. There is no way he could have legally acquired my number, as it has never been used by another person before I had it for such a short time. I believe his campaign is illegally harvesting personal information of Idaho residents. It's wrong and frankly pathetic, says Emily. Well, we're going to pump the brakes on the illegal part and ethically challenged part. But the question is, how do campaigns get a hold of our numbers and our addresses? We reached out to the Secretary of State's office for some clarification.
In Idaho, the voter registration list is a public record. That means that not only campaigns, but the public can request that list. Its use is restricted. It cannot be used for commercial purposes. And anyone requesting that list is also public record. So in the process of making that request, they'll sign an affidavit stating that what they are using it for is aligned with the statutory intent, which is for political purposes. That could be for campaigning, that could be for looking at the way a particular precinct lays out in terms of demographics, whatever that particular political purpose may be. It just can't be used in a commercial manner.
Okay, so that phone you just got a couple days ago, you may not have given that number out to many people, but that number is out there. And so much like all the spam phone calls and text messages we get, the sender got your number from a whole variety of sources. Houck says it's important to know that campaigns can get that information from old or new, like national party registrations, internet research, consumer credit information to reach a specific or a broad group of people. But even when you sign up for that phone, that number is now known to be out there. And when it comes to the legality of this process, well, this is what he says.
It's not illegal to have voter information. It's how you utilize it that would be a question. It's also important to understand that the amount of information that's in your voter registration record that is public is really limited to the name, the address, the political affiliation. While you provide date of birth when you register, what's actually made public is age. So the specific date of birth is not a public piece of information. And then you provide some unique identifiers when you register as well. And those unique identifiers, whether that's social security number last 4 digits or your driver's license number, are not part of that public component of the voter registration record.
As for updating your voter registration information, Houck says that's up to each county at their discretion and would likely require a voter to re-register to change or update that information. So there you go. Hopefully I answered your question there, Emily. Okay, show of hands. How many knew much about the Day of the Dead before the Pixar movie Coco? 5 years ago, Coco made the Mexican holiday the centerpiece of a, well, pretty good movie, but it also brought something that has been celebrated for thousands of years to the forefront. Day of the Dead, by the way, is actually more than 1 day. It's 2 days. Dias de los Muertos is a time for families to celebrate and welcome back the souls of the deceased family members. And to do that, families set up altars, complete with ornaments that remind them of the dearly departed. And for the last couple of days, several of you have sent us pictures of the altar you created for your celebration. Fanny Reyes of Nampa did that. Fanny was born in Canyon County. She moved to Mexico at the age of 2 and then moved back to Caldwell when she was 7. And she brought back with her how Dia de los Muertos is celebrated traditionally. Like Christmas for some, Fanny, a mother of 3, can't wait to set up her altar and usually puts it up days in advance because she wants to spend more time with it. They're not usually very big, these altars, and they take up just a small section of the house. But they do fill these houses with a lot of love. Putting out an altar for Dia de los Muertos is the manifestation of memories.
That's my tío Manuel. He actually lived here in Twin Falls, and oh my gosh, that man also was just full of life, and I just loved him, and that mustache was just amazing when it smiled.
A panorama of people and personality.
To me, it means a celebration of people that we loved, that we were able to hug at one point, and we still remember them and love them very much.
For Fanny Reyes, like most, those memories go back generations.
All my grandparents, my husband's grandparents, a couple uncles and an aunt, a very dear aunt to my heart, and this year we added a friend of ours also that passed away recently.
And while some may see this setup as maybe sad, that's not the meaning of Dia de los Muertos.
No, I get celebration. I get to think of my aunt Jovita's laugh and how we would dance and we would sing at family reunions. My grandma Raquel and her birthdays, and I get to celebrate, this their presence, this one day of the year, and get to share those stories with my kids as well. That maybe they didn't get to meet them, but they get to hear about these great people that were in my life.
Like the stories of her tia Jovita, who loved mango juice. Those are some of Fanny's favorites.
She was just so full of life and laughter and just always so happy. And all this reminds me of her, is seeing all the colors here. It just reminds me of our reunions and her tight hug. Out of all my aunts, when she passed away, I said she was the one that always hugged me the tightest, and I can still feel her hug when I see her pictures and all the color in my altar.
Color is just one aspect of the altar. It's also about what is left by those left behind.
So we've got, some of the favorite foods of my family members. My dad's grandma loved mole and arroz, and so we've got that. We've got some pozole that we actually cooked up to eat on Monday, and I saved some and put that out this morning. I've got some tequila shots there for my uncle. We'd love to have some tequila on Thanksgiving, and we've got a beer, some conchas and cookies and coffee. My grandpa, Cuco, my dad's dad, loved coffee, and so we've got some coffee set out for him. That's what draws them to us, and that's what keeps them in front of us.
And it keeps them alive.
One time my grandma was very ill, and she had to take some medicine, and she said that she needed something. She needed a candy, and she couldn't think of what the candy was. It had no color. It had no flavor. Well, it was a marshmallow. She wanted a marshmallow to take her medicine with, and so I've got some little mini marshmallows that we put up, and I tell my kids that story, and I just can think of her laugh out loud. So that was one of the dear stories to me of my grandma Raquel. That was my mom's mom that passed away a few years ago.
Sure, it's the Day of the Dead, but these days, Fanny doesn't see the deceased.
I see love. That love and faith, and in those people here and present is my faith and the love that they had for family and for me.
The altar isn't the only way Fanny and her family will celebrate Dia de los Muertos. This evening, they will gather at the Hillcrest Cemetery to celebrate her grandmother and her uncle, who are both buried there. Unfortunately, Fanny says her altar gets larger every year, but she hopes her kids will continue the tradition in their own homes someday. By the way, there's a Dia de Muertos event happening tonight, right now, in fact, at Jump in downtown Boise. They're going to have a display of local altars, performances of mariachi bands, and of dancers, of course. It's a big celebration, which is exactly what Dia de los Muertos is supposed to be. Kids say the darndest things. That's what we learned that one time there was a controversy over who would be our next president. No, not that time. The other time, more than 20 years ago. You know, our viewers say the darndest things too. At least we're hoping some of you do that today. Jump into the 208 conversation with something clever and concise. 208-321-5614 is the number to text us. Any comments, any questions, or any complaints. Don't forget your name and the hashtag the 208. Oh, and don't forget to keep them clean. We want to be able to share it at the end of the show. So close, but yet so far away. That was the final outcome of the nationwide contest for Best High School Mascot for the Shelley Russets. So close, yet so far. The Russets, with a Burbank Russet named Boomer as their mascot, finished a distant second to the Rhinelander Hodags, a school in upper Wisconsin. Okay, so we all know what a russet potato is, right? But what is a hodag exactly? It's a mythological lizard-like creature seen there with horns and fangs, and it's apparently from the woods of Wisconsin. And that school, they apparently put up quite the campaign to pull in 63% of the votes to Shelley's 25%. So a runaway win for them. Still, Shelley got 72,000 votes, which isn't bad for a town of just 5,000 people, right? But just bragging rights apparently up for grabs in the Scorebook Live online contest. And Shelley wasn't the only Idaho school to finish in the top 5, by the way, of the final 12. Camas Prairie Mushers ended up 5th with about 1% of the 291,000 votes. So Shelley may be 4th right now in the 4A high school or high country football conference, but they're number 2 in the country when it comes to cool nicknames because of Boomer. Had enough of that election cycle yet? It's kind of like the largest Ferris wheel at the fair. It just keeps going round and round. But it brings to mind the last big election drama. For many, it may be the 2020 election we know, culminating with the insurrection at the United States Capitol. But we're talking about another election controversy. Does the year 2000 ring any bells? How about the term hanging chads? Florida? At a time when it seemed like forever before we knew who was going to be our next president. As a refresher, as Al Gore and George Bush were vying for the seat in the Oval Office, the answer to who might that be was literally hanging in the balance of what the state of Florida decided. George Bush prevailed, by the way. But back then, in November of 2000, a class of second graders at Whitney Elementary School in Boise were conjuring up ways to figure out the whole problem themselves. John Miller got an earful in this 208 redial.
So we got this little problem, right? We got Gore over here and we got Bush over here, and they both think they won. Probably happens a lot on the playground, right?
Yes.
Let's say you were the manager of Florida and you had to say either Bush or Gore is going to be president. What would you do? How should they decide? How would you pick one?
They could do a stare down.
Go.
Stick them underwater without any air and
whoever can hold their breath the longest.
And that's the president. Pick a number between 1 and 10. 8.
I'll take 3.
It was 8.
Oh. Congratulations, Mr. Gore. Think you could probably settle this whole thing?
Make them all play football.
They could see who can draw the best.
Make them pick a fight. Yeah, that would be good. Awesome.
1, 2, ready, go. What's another way we could do it?
Tic-tac-toe. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Let's see here. Any other ways? Put their names in a hat. Well, that's how I would do it.
Seems pretty simple to me.
Yeah. It's been kind of a long time.
Yeah. Way too long a time, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, do you even care who becomes president?
No.
Well, our weather has changed quickly and dramatically as we start talking about what's taking place. This is a winter weather watch here in blue, which is going to take in McCall anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snow, likely 6 inches in McCall, could be more than 10 inches in some of the mountain locations from tomorrow afternoon to Friday afternoon. Look what it's done to our foothills. Isn't that a pretty shot out there? Well, you probably noticed that as you move through the day. Now, we're going to see a few scattered showers for tonight, but it clears up. We have some areas of fog for this evening. And then next, we got the ice box going. So now the precipitation comes in out of the northwest. That's going to be in the form of snow, possibly, for Friday morning. It changes over to rain during the day. It's still a little too warm. I say that as far as weather speaking. 45 degrees for the high. When you look at Friday, 31. Now here's the rain and snow that begins late Friday night, kind of sloppy. I've seen anywhere from about a half an inch, maybe an inch, but not a lot of snow, but be careful. And keep in mind too, we have the time change, Saturday night into Sunday morning. This is the one where we get an extra hour sleep so we can watch more rain showers and more storms that come into our area.
All right, a lot of people sending in comments today about the possibility of Wi-Fi in a few of Boise's parks. Like a lot of these comments saying, is this really necessary? And considering, well, what that will cost. Internet service in the park is the #1 priority for Boise City. To spend $2 million of taxpayers' money? Question mark. Maybe an affordable housing, homeless transportation would be a better use of the money, says Mike. And other people agree. Great to hear about Wi-Fi coming to the parks. Would like to see more widespread free Wi-Fi in other places in the city. Actually, this is the opposite side of that. This is somebody who would like to see more of this popping up because, well, access may not be readily available in other places in the city. This helps those with limited means to participate and compete for jobs they otherwise would not know about. That's according to Jack in Boise. So two conflicting sides there. Regarding Wi-Fi in the parks, wouldn't it be better use that money to help fill the food pantries, build affordable housing, and help the homeless? That seems more important to them. Tom in Boise, within the last 30 days, I've received 7 mailers from an Idaho candidate running for U.S. Senate. Money well spent, he asks. He lost me on the 3rd mailer. I've been getting texts on a daily basis from Nevada Republicans. Never lived there, never registered there, never voted there. Can't wait for the election so I can not vote there again, says Chris. Let's end with this question here that was sent in. Can a mail-in ballot be dropped off at a polling place on Election Day? They want you to drop those off at election offices, so find the nearest one in your county. That's the best place to do that on Election Day. We'll see you tomorrow.